I am here with Mrs. Cycloria King, owner of King's Touch Solutions.
Like to help businesses actually keep more of their profit. They don't know how much they're spending. They focus more on the income or the revenue, but when I ask about the expenses, they don't know how much they're spending. So do you know whether you're making a profit or not?
You get taxed so much.
Yes,
it's like I get taxed when I earn the money, when I buy something with the money, when I own the thing that I bought, and then when I sell the thing that I bought, and then when I die, it's like I get taxed and taxed and taxed.
Not keeping track of everything. They miss a lot of deductions, tax deductions, and because they don't keep track of all of the expenses that they have spent in the business. I don't care how much you borrow, like you might get $250,000, but if you don't know how to manage.
Welcome to another episode. I am here with Mrs. Cycloria King, owner of King's Touch Solutions. She is masterfully wonderful in bookkeeping, and she also does some financial advice that she gives. Not a financial advisor, but she does provide some financial knowledge and education to individuals who are needing help with budgeting and some other areas in finances as well. So if you are self-employed, this is really going to help you in terms of getting in order some of the things that you need to be thinking about when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to how you should be managing money, write-offs, things that you might be overlooking with tax write-offs and things like that. You definitely want to stay tuned and listen up, because it could be saving you money and helping out your business a lot along the way. So thank you for being here today. We greatly appreciate you being here and let me interview you.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about King's Touch and how you got into bookkeeping and everything.
Wow. Yep. It started back when I was about 19, and my pastor's wife asked me to help with their books, and I, not having formal education, I was like, okay, I will help, because it was a matter of keeping track of the income and expenses. So I did that, and I actually enjoyed that part of doing that, and eventually I went to school to get formal education, because I'm like, this is something I really want to do. And so once I did that, the church, the pastor's wife, actually, they assigned me the books, to do the whole thing, keep track of everything for the location they had here in Atlanta. And ever since then, I've been doing, keeping track, doing books. I do books for our church. And then once I got the formal education, I went to work in corporate and moved up into management there. And from there, 2019, I actually started my own company. And that came about because our corporate office was moving up to, I believe it was Johns Creek area, maybe an hour plus. Okay. Over an hour from where I live, and I was like, nope, don't want to make that commute. So then I stepped out and started my own business, and I've been going ever since. But my experience, of course, is over 20 years of experience of bookkeeping. So
nice. And so when you're doing bookkeeping, I imagine a lot of it, like you said, is for churches, but also I guess self-employed individuals also need bookkeeping services and everything like that.
I do have other industries. I have cleaning services. My husband has his own business, which is painting. Okay. He's a paint contractor, so I actually handle the books for him. I have e-commerce companies. Wow. I have therapists that I do books for. So I have a range of industries that I do actually keep books for as well. So
when it comes to bookkeeping, what are some of the issues, I guess you would say, that you see with a lot of people and how they maintain their books before they come to solicit you for your services in maintaining their books? Because I know me, for one, I'm not the type A personality.
Right.
Everything needs to be, so I'm a little bit more disorganized. My wife is more of the organized, scheduled, everything out. But when it comes to self-employed, what are some areas that you see a lot of people, I guess, failing in, or areas that they need to do a little bit better, particularly when it comes to keeping their books, which is important, especially when it comes to tax season and everything?
Right. Time is the number one thing that I see self-employed or businesses that they don't have time to keep up with that. The other thing is not keeping track of everything. They miss a lot of deductions, tax deductions, and because they don't keep track of all of the expenses that they have spent in the business. And that is money that is left, that they lose actually. And because of all the deductions, actually those expenses bring down, it lower your taxable income. So when you don't keep track of those and you're able to account for them at the end of tax season, you end up paying more in taxes. Gotcha. And that's something that I do not like to see businesses giving the IRS, because we can all agree that it's not like we're fans of the IRS, right? So I like to help businesses actually keep more of their profit. And also I see where they don't know how much they're spending. They focus more on the income or the revenue, but when I ask about the expenses, they don't know how much they're spending. So do you know whether you're making a profit or not? So I see that a lot.
Gotcha. No, that's important. And when it comes to not keeping track of all of the deductions and everything, are there particular deductions that a lot of people are forgetting about?
Mileage is one of the big things that businesses or individuals, self-employed individuals forget to keep track of their mileage. That is a huge deduction on the tax return. Okay. Mileage. And that's for anyone any business, because I know some people that travel a lot, they are probably more focused on that than others that do not. But anytime you're running a business, an errand for your business, making a bank deposit, that might not be as huge, because now we do a lot of things electronic. But some still go to the bank. You want to track that. If you're going out to eat with a client, you want to track the mileage. Another thing is the client meals. Okay. You want to keep track of your meals if you're sitting down discussing business with a client. This podcast, me traveling, going, from my house to here, I want to track that. I want to make sure I track that, because it's a business expense. If I'm talking about business, sometimes you could turn a meal into a business expense. Because many times we go out to eat with someone and then we start talking about our business. It turns into, and at that point it has turned into a business expense. You can write off that meal. So it's ways that if you have someone that you actually that know, or an expert that is handling your finances, they can make you aware of those things. Like, hey, let's see how we can get. Because one thing I do see, I want to mention this, is sometimes you have a business that don't have enough expenses, and when I say that, at the end of the year, they have this huge, the bottom line, the profit is, they have so much profit at the end of the year. And I take that, I look at that and say, how can we pay less taxes? So what are some expenses that you might have missed? Did you go out to eat? And did you discuss business? If you kept your receipt, let's go back and let's notate. Yeah, I discussed this, that, and and then we can actually add that to your expenses so you can pay less taxes. I
am all for paying less in taxes. I think taxes are probably the number one thing that people don't realize is costing them the most money.
Right.
You get taxed so much just throughout life in general. You get, let's see, when you purchase something, you pay sales tax.
Right.
From owning it, it's like you've got to pay property tax when you own, property and everything. Every year you pay property tax. When you sell that thing, you pay capital gains tax.
Exactly.
You pay taxes when you make your income. Before you even get your income, you pay income tax. That's like 4 taxes right there. And then when you die, there's like a death tax and a estate tax that you have to pay. You get taxed like 5 different times on the same money. It's like I get taxed when I earn the money, when I buy something with the money, when I own the thing that I bought, and then when I sell the thing that I bought, and then when I die, it's like I get taxed and taxed and taxed. So no, it's any way that you can find to pay less in taxes, since so much of your money goes to taxes. I think more than anything else that your money goes to. I think so much of your money just goes to taxes. So no, I definitely agree, finding those ways where you can save a little bit on what is in all likelihood your biggest expense, which is just the taxes that you're paying, which is also preventing the growth that you might be able to have in your business if you were able to maybe have business expenses that were expanding your business rather than just giving that money to the government. So shifting gears a little bit, you do financial coaching or financial training as well. So talk a little bit about that. What is it there that you provide to individuals who need assistance with finances, or at least the knowledge about finances?
Sure. I actually help them set up budgets. That is huge. Because same thing with businesses, individuals, some don't know what's coming in, what is going out. Of their personal, household. So that is the first thing I do with individuals or families, is help them to see where they are when it comes down to their money. Where it's going. I always like to say that every dollar, you have to assign it somewhere. If you don't, it's just, money is fluid. It comes in, it goes out. It's just like water. It just comes in, it goes out. So you gotta be in control. If not, it's just gonna leave you just as fast as it comes into your hands. So, and money is a tool. So I try to show them that even assign goals. What do you want to do with your money? What are your dreams? Okay, let's let this money work for you. You want to, many of us as individuals, we just get up in the morning, we go to work, go back home, and we do it over and over and over. We forget about those dreams. We put them on the back burner because we're constantly working, trying to keep up, trying to pay bills. But life should be about more than just paying bills. So I try to get them to see, or help them to actually realize those different dreams and goals, and let's see how we can meet those. Because when you're happy, you actually tend to care more about what is going on, in your life, which includes your finances, your health, So, but when you're in a depressed state, which many times we are if we don't know how to manage our money and we don't have enough money at the end of the month, we tend to, sometimes be in a depressed state, and we tend to do nothing. When you're depressed, you tend to do nothing. You just existing. So that's my number one goal. That's where I start, and then we go from there with the budget first.
I read a article, I think it was about a month ago now, where they were saying that the majority of Americans don't have a budget. I forget exactly what the percentage was. It was high though. It was like 60, 70%. It was really high. Like the majority of Americans don't have a budget. And I know there's a percentage of Americans who do have a budget but don't stick to their budget.
Right.
Which I guess is the other part of that. I know budgeting is something that in all honesty, is something I can get better at as well, because we have an idea of how much comes in, but we don't know, like you said, to the dollar. Every dollar is not assigned to where it's going to go for maximum efficiency. And I know part of that, at least with us, is having to work more with percentages, because the dollar amounts change from month to month for us. My wife is self-employed as well. She owns her own physical therapy business. Me working in the mortgage industry, it varies from month to month based on how many homes I end up financing, and also what the price of those homes are, because that varies it as well. So for individuals who have variable incomes, what would you say are some good tips in terms of how you should budget when you have those incomes that it's not like getting a consistent salary and you know what you're going to get every 2 weeks or every week?
Right. Actually, I love those type of scenarios, because it comes with a challenge. What I challenge those individuals, say if you are self-employed and your income is like variable, you don't know. It helps to know, that's what you start with, your expenses. How much are the expenses every month? My fixed expenses, your utilities, you're going to pay those every month regardless, your mortgage or your rent. You start with those, and you come up with a base number. Say I'm just throwing a number out there, say it's $4,000, your expense is $4,000 just for fixed expenses. That's where you start. And you have to have that amount every month that have to come in. And with self-employed individuals, that's when okay, I have to have X amount of sales that's going to equal to this 4,000, right? But that's where you start. You budget that. And then anything extra, anything on top of that, that's what you take it and then you assign it. You're like, okay, we know we're going to have, we know we have groceries. That's something, it's not a fixed expense, but with groceries, with the self-employed individuals, you do want to have a base, like it costs, I know every month I'm going to spend at least $400 in groceries. So I wouldn't include that in that. But anything extra, like say in my case, I'm going to get my hair done. That's something I don't have to do. Some women now, they like, I have to. But it's below the line, like you would say. Like I'm not going to include that in, my fixed expenses. So it's like anything extra, that's when I can assign it to those different lines, like my hair, going to get my hair done, pedicures, that type of thing. But you have to just develop, come up with how much are my fixed expenses. I need this every month. This is what we have to have. Gotcha. It's non-negotiable. We have to have this. So I know that's what I have to budget for. And that's the amount I have to bring in. And then whatever's extra, I assign it to that, like vacation and all of that. So if I get $1,000 extra, I'm going to take that $1,000 and assign it to those other expenses that are variable or, extra. It's like getting your hair done. It's just, I'm treating myself, that type of thing.
Do you make recommendations on, like, look, you should definitely look at having money here so that you can grow wealth over time, or anything like that? Like, what would your recommendations be for people to expand beyond where they're currently at?
Right. Well, I have a chart that I start with, and these numbers come from, they're actually standard numbers, like housing, you 25% at least. I think it's between, and I don't want to misquote, but I do know it's certain percentages that you should be spending or shouldn't be spending over with certain categories. And I can advise on those type of things like budgeting, saving. I can advise on that. But with the financial advisor, it's more investments. That's the only thing that I can't advise on unless I have a license for that. But anything else, I can, like you say, just I can say, hey, this is what you should be spending in this category for all your housing, mortgage, utilities, everything that's dealing with housing. It should be in this category. I'm just throwing out a number, 25 to 35%. If you go over 35%, you're spending too much. And that helps also with people when they're buying or looking to buy a house. And the mortgage, if they know their mortgage, you want to know how much is my mortgage going to be, because you don't want, and then you include utilities. Let's do an average of utilities, what they will be, and then once you add that up, you don't want it to be over a certain percentage. Mm-hmm. So I do provide all of that, and it helps with people that are looking to buy a home, or if they're in a home, they know, okay, I need to cut back somewhere.
And that's good, because a lot of people, when they do get ready to purchase a home, they'll come talk to a loan officer. The loan officer will say, you're qualified for X amount.
Right. And
they say, okay, well, I'm going to go find a home for as much as close as I can get to that amount, maybe slightly over.
Right.
And really, you should be looking at your own situation and determining what is it that you can actually afford.
Exactly.
Does this meet your goals in terms of what you're trying to do with saving, investing, building wealth for the future, and everything like that? So, no, I can agree hugely. I will say, on the self-employed side, one of the things that we notice or run into issue with, I know we discussed it a little bit before, is self-employed individuals tend to get penalized for being self-employed when it comes to purchasing a home, because they have to deduct their write-offs from their usable income that a mortgage loan officer can utilize to qualify them for that mortgage. So they end up running into this issue of either I'm going to have to pay more in taxes because I can't write off stuff so that you can use my income.
Right.
Or I'm going to have to pay less in taxes, which means I don't qualify for the house that I really like to be able to purchase.
Right.
I'll speak briefly on the loan officer side of things. There are some loan programs that will allow people to be able to have as many write-offs as they want.
Okay.
Without us having to deduct that from the income.
Right.
The caveat to that, because there's a caveat to everything. The caveat to that is that the down payment is higher.
Right.
The interest rate is higher.
Right.
But you can have all your tax write-offs. So you can write off all your income if you want. They're called bank statement loans.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you can get a bank statement loan, and you can get approved just based on the income that's shown on your bank statements. Don't even look at your tax returns.
Right.
But you usually will have a minimum of a 10% down payment, which can be a lot. I think the average home price in Atlanta now is up to like $350.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially because I was born and raised in Atlanta.
Right.
And I remember when it was like $150, $250 would get you a nice home.
For a starter home.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, it's just crazy where it is now. But yeah, those 10% of $350 at $35,000, and a lot of people don't have that type of cash. And so, I guess when it comes to saving for a home or anything, because I believe that's the biggest purchase that most people will make in their lifetime.
Right.
What are your recommendations in terms of how people can accomplish that? Because most of the individuals I see, they don't have the funds or the money.
I would say it goes back to what I was stating earlier about the goals and dreams. We need to determine that ahead of time. I believe right out of college, you need to know, okay, just sit down and determine, what are my goals? Do I want to buy a house in the next 2 to 5 years, maybe? And from there, establish a plan to do that. Put in the money, say, and this is what I help with the financial coaching. I help them put together a plan that they can, that is, let me see, you have, let's do a 2-year plan, let's do a 5-year, and sometimes we have to break it up. If you want to save $30,000 in 5 years, let's see how we can start with year 1. How much do we need to save in year 1 to get to $30,000 in 5 years? Okay, then we break it down even more. If in a year we determine we need, X amount, okay, let's break it down into each month. How much do we need to put aside each month to reach the goal each year? And that is where I believe if we do it that way, then it's easier to reach that goal. But many times we don't have, we just jump up and say, hey, I think I want to buy a house.
Exactly. No savings,
no savings or nothing. But if we go back, like I said, and determine 5 years out, this is where I want to be in 5 years. How much is it going to cost? How much do I need to put aside? And not only that, we don't want to put it in a bank. They don't give you much interest.
Yes.
We want to put it into like a money market where it can, 4% interest. Some of them, I think the highest I've seen was 4.5%, I believe. So you get a money market just and earn interest on it, as much interest as you can, so that is where I would start as far as saving. Having
the plan is definitely key. It also plays into home repairs. I think one of the best things that I heard advice-wise in terms of home buyers when they're trying to price out all of these things that are eventually going to need to be replaced. Right. Your roof's eventually going to need to be replaced. Exactly. Your HVAC system, all of these things. It's like, okay, how old is your roof? Okay, It's 10 years old. Okay, you've got a 20-year lifespan on that roof if it's a 20-year roof.
Right.
So you got 10 more years. How much is it going to cost to replace that roof?
Right.
Okay, so let's divide that cost by the 10 years that you got left on the roof.
Right.
And that by the end of that 10 years, you've got the money.
Exactly.
To be able to pay for getting that new roof. And you can use that with all of your expenses.
Exactly.
So I think that is a good plan to utilize to just make sure that you have the money that you need to be able to do the things you want to do.
Right. And that's what I encourage also to put aside savings for. Make a list. I need savings for repairs. I need savings for medical, savings for vacation, savings, just what is it that you want to do? What is it that you need to do? Let's put that aside. Car repairs is a big one. Because, I have seen that just recently, someone put their car, they broke down, they had to put it in the shop, but then rent was coming up. So the money they used to repair the car, it cut into their bills that they needed, that for the home. So we have to think about all of that.
In our country in general, there's a lack of financial literacy, of financial education.
Definitely. It starts. This is what I say all the time. We should learn this when we're in school. From little kids, we should start learning about finances. Because what happens is that we get out of school and then we're expected to make these large purchases. Many times the first purchase is a car. But we don't have any financial literacy. We don't know anything about finances. We don't know how to manage our finances. And then you expect me to make this big purchase with what knowledge? So you get in these loans that might be upside down, or this high interest rate on a car, and then they start sending credit cards through the mail. As soon as you graduate, here it is, you got a credit card. And then so we are going out there not knowing how to manage money, and then it just keeps going. It's like a snowball. It just keeps going, and we get into this big mess, and we're like, how do I get out? But many times we don't want to address it. We just shut down and say, we bury our head in the sand. It's like, since I don't know, I just,
Just to get your take on it, what are your thoughts, your feelings, or your direction that you tend to swing when it comes to debt? Because a lot of self-employed businesses try to utilize debt to grow the business. Right. Some of them have to utilize debt if they don't have the money already, especially when you're trying to get off the ground and build that business. So what are your thoughts in terms of utilizing debt to be able to grow a business, and how does that fit into the budget? I mean, it's money you've got to pay back. It's not really money that you're making per se.
Right.
But what are your thoughts on utilizing debt to grow a business?
You want to have some room to be able to pay it back while you're trying to build and make money. Mm-hmm. To me, if you're going in debt and you know you got to pay it back, and you don't have much profit, much cash, it doesn't help to. I mean, it's not really working for you. It's working against you. Mm-hmm. So I believe if you are going to go out and leverage, that you have to. I believe you should already have some cash flow. That you shouldn't have cash flow issues.
If you're bad with managing money, and then you're borrowing more money on top of that.
Yes, I have seen it over and over, where I don't care how much you borrow, like you might get $250,000, but if you don't know how to manage that's kind of yeah. So I believe you should already definitely money management. Definitely, you want to be able to do that, but have some type of cash flow already that you could be able, while you're building and you're making money, you're able to pay that loan with ease. Mm-hmm. You're not struggling to pay that loan.
When it comes to principles, foundations that make a business successful, mm-hmm. What would be your take or your thoughts in terms of businesses that I guess are just really well, positioned in their marketplace to take advantage of opportunities, mm-hmm. versus businesses that manage money well? It's kind of like, I guess you could say, having a business that, you've got a huge opportunity here to make a lot of money, right. Or a business that, the opportunity is not as great, but you got a great team that really knows how to manage what they have really well.
I do believe the one that knows how to manage the money really well mm-hmm. will come out better than the person with the opportunity. And because I've seen that, whereas they have this opportunity and it's like they have an opportunity to make so much, money, but then it's gone as soon as, because they don't know how to manage it. They didn't know how to keep it. They didn't know how to leverage. It's almost like, to me, you're giving the money to a 5-year-old or someone that don't know what to do with, that money, that they know how to go out. They know how, they take advantage of this opportunity, and they know it could be somebody that know how to run the business side of it well. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know how to manage the money side of it, you can be out of business like within 5 years or less, because mm-hmm. you didn't know. Because we do know, if you can make it past that 5-year mark as a business owner,
doing okay.
Yeah, so because many new businesses go out of business within 5 years, and most of it is from, you can make bad decisions, but mm-hmm. cash flow. I've seen cash flow will kill a business quickly.
One question I do like to ask: if you could do anything in the world and would be guaranteed not to fail, what would you do? And it could be anything, but you were guaranteed success.
What I'm doing now.
Oh, really?
Yes. Actually, the financial coaching side of it. That part, empowering individuals and families.
Okay.
Because I believe during times like this, economic turmoil, inflation, all of that, if we can be empowered, it would, wow, just to see people being able to still survive and thrive in times like what we're living in, where inflation is really high. People are barely able to afford gas and groceries, and to see college students come out and they have all of this debt and they're struggling, and they never get out of it. That's the number one thing. The second thing would be, and I throw people off with this, is a sports commentator.
Really?
Yeah.
Sports commentator. What sport?
Football.
Okay. You watch a lot of football,
Oh, yes.
college football, and NFL.
NFL.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like college too.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that.
I did not.
You didn't see that
No,
coming.
that would throw me off as well. Yeah. Sports commentator.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. I used to be a lot deeper into sports. I stopped watching football when the Falcons lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots. I thought it was the biggest setup I had ever seen in my life, because I was like, you go into the fourth quarter up 21 points.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
And you lose the game, the Super Bowl of all games, going into the fourth quarter, 21 points. And I was like, you know what, I'm done. Yeah. And since then, I have not watched a full football game. I was like, you know what, this is just, I'm going to do something else with the time. And I mean, prior to then, it's like I loved watching the football games Sundays and everything. But after that, it just...
You're just done.
And then I stayed up till like 3 a.m. in the morning, because I was living overseas at the time. I was still in the military, and we were 6 hours ahead of the time here in the States. And so I was up at like 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. I still had to go to work the next day. And the way they just lost that game, and I was like, Falcons are about to get their first Super Bowl, and then they just drop a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter, and I'm like, I will never again watch another Falcons game. And I haven't. It's like I haven't watched another football game in general. I was just like, I'll go learn to play guitar or something. Do something different. But that's pretty much where it left. But no, thank you for your time. I appreciate you being here and sharing your knowledge and everything. So no, it's definitely been beneficial. So thank you.
Yes, I appreciate you having me. And
that's all we have. So take care, be blessed, and we'll see you in the next episode.